and a song about talking about movies. It's Roy on Celluloid.
Welcome to Roy on Celluloid, where I am Roy, and I will be talking about things on celluloid. Well, technically digital most of the time, but semantics. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about a film that just came out in October, and I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see it upon its new release, which would have been great because it fit the whole October Halloween atmosphere, but I did get to see it today, and I got to see it before it exited theaters, and that is Crimson Peak, which is directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it stars Mia Wasikowska, and it stars, along with her, Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain, and Charlie Hunnam, who all have names that are much easier for me to pronounce. This is a film I was really looking forward to, as I do with all Guillermo del Toro's films. One time, Criterion Collection, the great DVD label, did a top 10 with Guillermo del Toro, where he talked about his favorite 10 Criterion films, and when he got to Brazil, he started talking about Terry Gilliam, and there's this magnificent quote: "Terry Gilliam is a living treasure, and we are squandering him foolishly with every film of his that remains unmade." You know, it's funny, Mr. Del Toro, that you say that, because that's kind of how I feel about you, too. Yeah, Del Toro has a hard time getting his films made. He tends to have about a dozen projects on his docket at one time, and I was just really happy to see an original project of his come out and see the light of day, so, you know, awesome. I'm never going to complain about that. So Crimson Peak is about Mia W's character, who she is from a rich family, and she runs into Tom Hiddleston. He is searching for money to fund this machine that harvests clay, because he lives on a mansion that's, you know, founded on this massive foundation of clay. And yeah, that's basically the setup. He also has a sister played by Jessica Chastain, and Charlie Hunnam plays the physician for Mia W. and her father. This film has been billed as a horror film, and the trailers build it up to be very much a horror film, but at its heart it really is more of a gothic romance, and the film reminds me a lot of movies like The Uninvited from the 1940s, and it's really more about atmosphere and creating just this wonderful setting, and the film does that very well. A great way to describe the film is actually in the film itself. The main character, she's a writer, and someone is going over her manuscript and reading her novel, and he says, "Oh, a ghost story." And then she's like, "No, it's not a ghost story, it's a story about loss. The ghosts are simply a metaphor." Yeah, that's pretty much what the movie does. It's not really about ghosts. Ghosts are in it, but it's not about ghosts. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful, which is one thing that Guillermo del Toro always excels at, and the acting is all very good. The problem I have with the film, and the reason why I don't think it's as masterful as a work of his such as like Pan's Labyrinth or The Devil's Backbone, is it's just, if there was ever a slow burn in cinema, this is the definitive slow burn. And it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And I can't even really say that it didn't meet my expectations, because whenever I go see a film by Del Toro, I go in with an empty palette, and I just, you know, let him do what he wants to do. And I am along for the ride, and I'm thankful to be able to go on that ride. The reason why I felt like some of this movie didn't work is they spend a lot of time on dialogue, but once again, if you think back to those kind of atmospheric horror films of the 40s and 50s, they did that a lot in those types of films, and I see that as more of a tribute to those movies than anything else, and that's why it kind of works in that same way. But I felt like it could have had a little bit more visual storytelling. They could have unveiled details about the character's past in a visual manner, and it could have maybe been a little bit more interesting, but it has some great moments in it. Like I said, it is littered with fantastic acting. One of the biggest problems is the film likes to go on these excursions with Mia W's character through the house, and as she's discovering the secrets and everything like that, and it spends a lot of time doing that, and it is a slow burn. But it's overall very enjoyable. For me, anyway. I definitely don't think this film's for everybody. I could see some people seeing this and just being like, "Oh, geez, this is boring." And I felt like it was I let the film do its work, and by the end of it, I enjoyed it. I think that I have a personal taste akin to a film like this, and since I know where kind of it's coming from, and I see what he was doing with it, and I know the films that had inspired it, and I see what he was working with this, and I did not see it as a failure. I don't think it's a magnificent game changer, quite like Pan's Labyrinth was. He had a lot of his heart invested in that film, along with Devil's Backbone and a few others that he's done. As a side note, I was wondering where he was going to work in the whole bug obsession that he has into this movie. Because when I watched the trailers, I wasn't sure where it was going to come in, but he worked it in. He's always got to work in some bug stuff. You know, this movie was good. I do like it. I can't recommend it for everybody. If you're a film nerd, or you just love Guillermo del Toro and you love his style, then I highly recommend it. It possibly could have been a little better, but I liked it, and I'll definitely be checking it out again whenever it gets a home release. So Crimson Peak, for me, I give it a 4 out of 5. That's my bias because I love the director, and as he said about Terry Gilliam, we're squandering him foolishly with any film of his that doesn't get made. So every time he makes a film, I will be in theaters to see it, even if it's 2 or 3 weeks late, and I'm sure that I will always walk away with something from it, and I did from this one. So yeah, Crimson Peak. Thank you for watching.